Hey, and welcome to the Upward Podcast. My name is Jenny Danielson. You are about to listen to a conversation between me and the artist Ellen Donnelly. If you want to have a look at the video, Call Me a Rabbit, you will find a link below. Thanks for listening. We are here today, and you are visiting from New York.
Yes.
Yes. Tonight, you sort of finish.
Right. Tonight is the closing event of my show, Call Me Rabbit at Actual Size. And I'll be leading sort of a workshop, sort of a performance. And my friend Blake Basharian, he's a chef and he's doing some sort of culinary treat that corresponds to the stuff I'm talking about in the project. So
yeah, and it's called Call Me Rabbit.
Call Me Rabbit. Mm-hmm.
What's that title about?
The project is a video installation, and the video is about 20 minutes long. And it's these two women that are sitting in front of a commune that they are realizing they've accidentally committed themselves to living in for a year. And the whole video is just kind of them talking about what it feels like to let go of all the decisions you have to make and just kind of fall into an authority. And towards the end, one of them says, on the way here, I saw this fox eat a rabbit. And then I realized the rabbit could no longer be called rabbit. It was now part of the fox. So that idea of setting boundaries for yourself or finding where you end and where the environment you're in begins is, kind of what I've been working on for a year now.
Well, yeah, because everything was done last year, 2018. That's when you wrote the script,
right?
Recorded it all and everything.
Yeah, I wrote the script. I had fresh off of a meditation retreat. I came back and was like really inspired by how weird the people were there and how just kind of alien it all seemed, and wrote this script. And then over a couple months, I got a crew together and shot it and then edited it and then built this installation at Actual Size.
I think I like it because it's such a good commentary on something that is very much now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much the contemporary of 2018, and wellness is at the forefront. It's very much at the focus. Can we talk about wellness? Because how would you describe wellness?
Yeah, wellness is a huge thing. I think there's a tension that I feel and people I talk to about it, feeling like we sort of live in this system that doesn't take care of us emotionally, physically, poisonous water and poisonous food and unrealistic demands on our intellect. So there's this real need to take care of ourselves. And in that, there's a little bit of guilt because it sometimes feels like, or does come from a position of privilege. I have enough time, enough money to care for myself. And I just think that there's an anxiety there that people express in small ways, like making fun of yoga classes and kind of building this culture that we take seriously, but it's tongue in cheek, I think, a lot of times.
But do you think that we are more anxious today than we were in another time, or are we just better at expressing that?
That's a good question. I think with all the connectivity we have and all the ideas we're confronted with all the time with our iPhones and, whatever media we consume, we have let so much into our consciousness, into our the way we formulate the world we think we live in. And a lot of times it feels like just like a cacophony of voices that you're trying to navigate your way through. And I think that does give us a lot of anxiety. And I think also, the feeling compelled to produce all the time, I don't think that's new, but I think doing it for yourself and having your own brand or just needing to, it's so individualized now that, I can't say if there's more anxiety now than there was 20 years ago, but it's definitely a peculiar time, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's not It's absolutely not possible to succeed.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many yoga classes you do a day,
Right.
How much great food you eat, how much you take care of yourself. You will forever fail because there's always another product or another trip you need to take or another something that would fulfill you. And that constant race of being a bit of a failure.
Yeah. Well, I think there's that side of it. And then there's this idea that practicing wellness is a practice and it's something you do every day with the intention of being able to keep doing it rather than having some end you're trying to reach. And I think people that produce products that support wellness are aware of that. And it's built into the way we think about it, that it's endless and therefore endlessly profitable.
Yeah. So I think that you went into meditation center.
Yeah.
For 5 days.
Yes.
I did a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
So back in November, I spent 10 days in a silent retreat. Yeah. It wasn't a retreat, really. It's a bit like being in a monastery, to be honest with you. And the most interesting things, of course, is that I had not a problem about being silent. That was fine. But it's about the people you meet afterwards. And this enormous desire that people have to find something. They're looking for tradition. They're looking for a practice. They're looking for the right meditation, whatever. And it's something so sad about that.
Yeah.
Because I would say that traditions are just something that you do recurrently.
Yeah.
And I don't know if one technique of meditation is better than the other. How did you feel about it? Did you enjoy it? Because I did.
It.
I mean, I did. I don't know if I liked it so much, to be honest. I have not meditated since.
I hated that experience. I think it was great for me and there's a huge benefit, but the whole time I was like, this sucks. These people are weird. Like no one's even making eye contact with me. And the one I went to, there's like a daily meeting where you can say something if you want to. And that was when all just hearing what people had to say after being silent all day was really like, they're just so in their heads. They're just so consumed by their own thoughts. Every single person is just in this loop. But something I've been thinking about is the idea of purity, and the end result a lot of times of all of these practices is trying to find purity to heal and to eliminate what we think of as like scars on our emotional body or something. And that is like a very deep concept for me that can go in so many ways. And it has like the Eastern spiritual practices that a lot of this stuff is based on do talk about purifying yourself so that you can stop living and suffering and reach nirvana, But being like a queer female in 2018, the idea of purity is also really loaded. Like I can never be pure because I'm not a virgin,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So it's a little sad.
Yeah, it's a little sad, but it's also life.
Right.
It's just where we are. You go through lives and you will feel pain.
Yeah.
Not every day is phenomenal. Not everyone is born into this world with great parents.
Right.
But we can still be in a very good life and take care of each other.
Yeah. And you will have moments. I think people kind of chase the moments of euphoria that you get sometimes. Meditation, yoga, what is it called? Hydrotherapy, colon hydrotherapy, acupuncture, all these things that really do give you really good physical feelings that make you think you've gone someplace or found someplace new inside of yourself. But the longer you do it and the more you do it, you realize you always kind of go back to the beginning, and it's just about kind of wading through it rather than really achieving anything.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that we're constantly chasing something. And I don't know. I mean, it's also very difficult to say to someone you should not look after yourself. Of course you should. It's a good thing not to smoke. It's a good thing for your body, and not to drink alcohol. And there's so many things that we already know that this will make you feel better, of course. But still, it's very, very hard to pressure yourself.
Right. And there are so many different theories about how to be well. Mm-hmm. And they're all contradictory. Like all the different diets you can follow, they all are exactly the opposite of each other.
Yeah.
And it gets really confusing.
It's all about, so who do you want to be and all that.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes interesting that there is a wellness institute.
Right.
There's a marketplace for wellness.
Right. And then it's about all these decisions that you have the possibility to make and you have to make. And these authorities crop up in that where like we've done the research. Mm-hmm. This is the way we live our lives and we're going to lead you to our version of pure.
Mm. It's very hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but in the film, they sit outside and at one point, one of them says something like they're very ready to reset this spiritual journey. Mm-hmm. And that is a brilliant quote, I think. Because what does that mean? What do you think will happen to these characters when they go in?
I think those characters are, I mean, honestly, anything I write is some version of myself, any character that I write. And they're just in this place where they're starting to understand that all of the choices are kind of arbitrary, but for some reason they still want to keep making them and still feel, empowered by the possibility of making them. And they're giving up in a way, but also kind of moving forward.
Yeah, because they're giving in on something. It sounds like they will be gone for a year without being in contact with anyone, but they're not too upset about it.
Yeah, they're kind of like, okay, well, I've been just mired in anxiety and trying to make the right decision for myself and how to live my life, that it feels really good for someone to tell me how to do it, which is a lot. I think that is why we have this culture, this market that's cropped up. Because people just want someone to tell them what to do. Because it's really confusing and hard.
And I think that's why we have so many retreats in the Caribbean where you can stay for 3 months and or help on a farm and work in a community.
Yeah. And that's when the guilt kind of comes in, because it can definitely be escapism. And at a certain point, it feels like you're burying your head in the sand and being very selfish, and not spending your time and energy on trying to make anything better for anybody else but yourself, which is true in some ways and like misogyny in others, Yeah,
but I think that is a really hard one. When do you know when you begin and when you stop? And what do you do? How do you do it?
You listen to Oprah audiobooks and just try. I mean, the performance I'm doing tonight, the workshop, is kind of about feeling confident in knowing that you know what to do. And that even if there are all these cultural standards that make you feel guilty for doing what you really feel you want to do, it doesn't matter because they'll never really know your thoughts.
No, you're absolutely right.
Also, even if some of the things that you want are conditioned and are just a product of you living in millennial consumerism, that also doesn't matter. They're still real and they're still part of you.
So how did you become an artist? Where did you start off from? Because you've made a couple of sculptures in the installation as well. Yeah. It's a very immersive thing. It's not only the moving imagery.
Well, I have always studied writing. So I did writing in undergrad and I got an MFA in creative writing. But I've also done a lot of video since college and performance. And in those performances, I've done costumes and sculptural things and just have always really enjoyed making sculpture. So the foundation is writing and I consider it a writing project, but it seemed appropriate to accessorize it with these handmade objects that are really, it's like you can just let go of all the intellectual junk and feel as you work with your hands. But yeah.
So what are you working on now?
I installed this show a month ago, but now I've started to write another project that's a lot it's kind of a continuation of this. I think it'll be a 15-minute film, and I want to try to do another installation around it.